Hello and welcome to another episode of Agri-History, Tropical Edition. In this episode, we'll cover papaya. Papaya is the third most cultivated tropical crop worldwide, with Brazil and India being the largest producers. In the wild, papayas are dioecious, having male and female flowers, while the domesticated forms are either dioecious or hermaphroditic. Some of these cultivars are inbred, resulting in stable traits throughout generations. 2/3 of the cultivars of papaya are hermaphroditic in nature. In this episode, we will cover the natural history, domestication, and a portion of the genetics of papaya. We will start with the natural history. The papaya, known by its scientific name Carica papaya, is suggested by most researchers to be a Mesoamerican species, although where in Mesoamerica or Central America it came from is still unknown. This is due to the lack of archaeological data and the difficulty identifying papaya remnants in the fossil record. Although the presence of papaya prior to the Spanish conquest of Mexico suggests a Mesoamerican origin. This is further confirmed by the fact that closely related genera to the Carica genus are found in Mesoamerica in high numbers. Also, Carica and its close related species found in Mesoamerica have a unilocular ovary in the fruit, while the South American species within the same family have 5 locular ovaries. Also, it's been found that the highest level of genetic diversity of papaya is found in southern Mexico. As such, the likely center of origin the natural range of papaya is the entirety of Mexico and parts of Central America, with the largest amount of genetic variation being found in Mexico, where it was likely domesticated. Now let's talk about domestication. The Maya were one of the biggest plant domesticators in the world, with Mexico being one of the major centers of domestication for many plants and animals. The Mayans were probably also the first to domesticate, cultivate, and trade papayas, both the fruit and the leaves, which were useful for tenderizing meat. In the 16th century, the Spaniards who conquered that area began spreading papaya beyond Mesoamerica, and from there they were introduced to the island of Hispaniola, currently known as the areas of Haiti and Santo Domingo. It is here that the fruit would gain the name papaya. Prior to that, it was known as olocoton. As it spread to the West Indian islands, such as Jamaica and Cuba, they gained new names. In Jamaica, it obtained the name papa. In Cuba, it was called fruta bomba, and so on and so forth. In 1526, the papaya was taken outside of America and spread to Indonesia, and from there, it spread throughout the West Indies and the rest of tropical Asia, and from there it was transferred to Africa by European colonial powers such as Portugal, Denmark, Britain, and France. The relative longevity of papaya seeds aided in this process, and as I can attest, when you plant papaya seeds, most will germinate and produce seedlings. There's been quite a bit of change from its wild ancestor to its current form. The wild papayas have taller trees and smaller fruit typically. The domesticated papaya has orange flesh, while the wild form has fruit with yellow flesh. Also, most of the domesticated forms are hermaphrodites. These were natural mutations in male plants that were selected by primordial people, likely around 4,000 years ago. Finally, there is a dormancy trait in the wild plants that are not found in the domesticated forms. The seeds of wild papaya will remain dormant if buried for long periods of time, and only germinate when there's sufficient light. In domesticated forms of papaya, this trait is lost, increasing the amount of viable seeds that can be planted. Now on to genetics. Now on to the recent discoveries of papaya genomics. Through genetic analysis, they have found that Mexico, specifically southern Mexico in the rainforest regions of Los Tuxtlas, have the highest level of genetic diversity. They have also found fragmented forest areas where domesticated and wild papaya crossbreed, creating hybrids of both forms. These plants often contain a mixture of both wild-type and domesticated-type flowers, with some plants having both male, female, and hermaphrodite flowers. They have also found that cultivated and feral papayas have a lower level of genetic diversity than wild populations. With the creation of the transgenic rainbow papaya, it is unknown if this crossbreeding between these two populations will have an adverse effect on the ecosystem as a whole in future generations. While the ability of transgenic papaya plants to be pollinated by non-transgenic plants is rare, the ability of a transgenic papaya to transfer pollen to a non-transgenic plant is high, so it may be wise to not grow transgenic papayas in areas where wild papayas still dwell. Well, that covers about everything. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay lit, fam.